The pregnancy test was still in my desk drawer when I found the exit plan. Unopened. Still in the pharmacy bag with the receipt folded inside, time-stamped 2 days ago at 7:18 p.m. I'd bought it after my doctor said, "No reason to wait anymore if you're ready." I wasn't ready, but I was preparing to be ready, which is how planners handle hope. I like staging milestones before announcing them. Private confirmation first. Then shared joy. That was the plan. Marcus and I had been married 4 years, together 7. Stable, structured, low drama. The kind of relationship people call solid when they're trying to be respectful and a little envious. We budgeted quarterly, took one big trip a year, and had a shared 5-year roadmap saved in a spreadsheet literally named Life Build. Year 5 tab, baby. I opened his laptop to update that spreadsheet. Not snooping, not suspicion, just logistics. He'd asked me to add the new insurance premium numbers because I format cleaner. His machine was already on, docked, and logged in, our normal trust setup. Life Build was open, but it wasn't the active window. A document titled Transition Timeline, personal sat on top. That word, transition, didn't belong to any of our categories. We use rollout, phase, target, buffer. Transition was emotional language wearing project clothing. I almost minimized it. Almost. Then I saw my name. Not in the title. Inside the preview sidebar bullet point. Tell Anna after lease transfer completes. I didn't feel shock first. I felt misclassification, like opening the wrong folder and realizing the labels lied. I clicked it. Structured plan. Dates. Dependencies. Financial staging. Week 1. Open new individual account. Move consulting deposits week 3. Storage unit. Essentials only week 5. Short-term rental. Furnished. Cash reserve week 6. Vehicle title duplicate week 7. Disclosure conversation. Calm tone. No negotiation. Disclosure conversation. That's what he called leaving me. My hand stayed steady. A detail I remember clearly because I've always believed the body reveals truth faster than the face. Mine didn't tremble, which meant my brain had already switched modes. Audit mode again. I scrolled. There was a second column. Initials instead of names. L, confirm move window L, school district check L, pet deposit covered. L wasn't me. My name doesn't start with L. At the bottom, a note in smaller font. Goal. Clean exit, low conflict, asset preservation. Asset preservation, not heartbreak, not confusion, not I'm unhappy. Asset preservation. He was planning a merger termination, not a divorce. My phone buzzed. Message from Marcus. Marcus. Running late. Vendor call. Eat without me. Timestamp. Sent 3 minutes ago. Document last edited 4 minutes ago. He had been working on his escape plan right before texting me about dinner. I took photos, not screenshots. Photos from my phone because screenshots sync across devices and alert smart users. Camera photos don't. Page by page. Metadata captured. Then I checked document history. Version log showed collaborator. Lydia M. Suggestions enabled. There it was. L had a full name now. Suggestions enabled meant she wasn't just emotional support. She was editing the exit plan. Co-authoring my removal. I clicked comments. One sat unresolved. Make sure Anna believes timing is job-driven, not relationship-driven. Lowers resistance. I leaned back slowly. Not because it hurt, but because clarity changes posture. My unopened pregnancy test sat 10 feet away. His unopened honesty sat inside the screen. I opened our shared calendar. Next month, 3 separate entries labeled. Client strategy offsite, 3 days. Same week each time, recurring, which made no sense for offsites. I opened the event details. Location field blank. Notes field hidden but expandable. I expanded it. Short code. L, cabin, confirm key. Cabin. Key. Repeat booking. I photographed that too. Then I finally opened Life Build, our baby plan sheet, and added 1 new row under year 5. Contingency. Partner withdrawal scenario. Because if he was planning an exit, I was planning a counter. Because if he was planning an exit, I was planning a counter. Not revenge. Not confrontation. Sequence control. I closed the transition timeline document exactly how I found it, same zoom level, same cursor position, and reopen Life Build, so the screen looked honest again. Digital scenes need resetting the same way physical ones do. Then I actually updated the insurance row, because cover activity is the best camouflage.
Save. Close.
Dock sleep. Normal. My phone buzzed Marcus again. Marcus. Might be really late, don't wait up. Second reinforcement message. Over-explaining absence is often guilt or logistics. Tonight it was logistics. His timeline said vendor call. His document timeline said planning escape. Both could be true, but only one was honest. I replied. Me. No worries, I'm doing spreadsheets anyway, grinning face with smiling eyes. Truth. Weaponized discomfort. Next step. Identity Lydia M. I didn't search social media first. That contaminates your emotional neutrality. I searched collaboration logs. Back to the document version history. Clicked Lydia's profile icon. Corporate Google account, not personal, domain. Northlight-Consulting, CO. Consulting, same sector as Marcus, but not his employer. I opened LinkedIn neutral ground. Search. Lydia M plus Northlight Consulting. 3 results. 1 matched the profile image thumbnail. Same hair, same glasses. Title. Transition Operations Specialist. I actually laughed softly at that.
Of course she was.
People rarely hide their skill sets. They reuse them. Her job was literally transition planning. I opened her activity feed. Public comments, process posts, change management threads, relocation frameworks, conflict minimization strategies. Professional vocabulary matched the comment in the document exactly. Not an affair assistant. An exit architect. That made this colder and clearer. I created a new folder in my vault. Marcus exit plan, evidence, and started indexing. Timeline document photos, collaborator ID, comment recommending deception framing, calendar cabin entries, financial staging steps. My unopened pregnancy test earned its own photo too, not for proof, for memory accuracy later. Context matters when you reconstruct intent. At 8:02 p.m., the front door opened. He came home earlier than his text suggested. Interesting. Call wrapped fast, he said, dropping his bag. You eat. Yes, I smiled. Spreadsheet night. He grinned. My favorite version of you. Not lover. Not partner. Version. Language leak. How was the vendor crisis? I asked. Transition messy, he said automatically, then corrected. Transaction messy. First word was the true one. Transition is always messy. I replied evenly. He didn't notice.
He showered.
I checked the joint bank portal. 2 new things appeared because I knew where to look now. External account nickname added. Consult reserve. Transfer rule created. Percentage based. Incoming consulting deposits split 60/40ths. Split started last month. I pulled statement history. For deposits routed through the split already. He wasn't planning to leave. He had started leaving. I exported PDFs. Named them with timestamps. Never generic names. Retrieval speed matters later. At dinner he talked about fuel prices and client turnover. I watched cognitive load instead of words. He was juggling, which meant mistakes would increase. Hey, I said lightly. When is that offsite you mentioned last week? Which one? He asked. Delay, memory search. Dangerous when you've scheduled 3 with the same label. The strategy one, cabin or something? Micro-freeze. Then smooth recovery. Oh, that's not a cabin. That's just the facility name, he said. Facility named cabin.
Sure.
What facility? Northridge. I checked his pupils. No dilation spike. Rehearsed answer. I smiled. Sounds peaceful. It won't be, he laughed. Truth again, just not the truth he thought. At 9:11 p.m., while he loaded the dishwasher, his watch lit with a message preview. Risk notifications are the most honest channel because people forget they're mirrored. Lydia. Draft looks good. Shift week 7 talk earlier, if lease clears. He angled his wrist away too late. I had already read it. Who's Lydia? I asked. Tone neutral, question casual, timing immediate, best lie detection position. He didn't flinch, impressive.
Process consultant, he said.
Helps with client transitions. Technically true, just not the client. Smart, I nodded. Transitions are messy. He smiled, relieved at repetition, not realizing repetition was my probe pattern now. That night, when he fell asleep, I opened the lease drawer. Our apartment lease renewal, and signed, sitting under a magnet clip. Expiration, 6 weeks. Week 6 in his exit timeline. Vehicle title duplicate. Week 7. Disclosure conversation. Lease boundary aligned with confession window. Sequence confirmed. I added one more row to my contingency sheet. Trigger event. Lease expiration leverage window. Because he thought he was choosing the timing. He wasn't anymore. He thought he was choosing the timing. He wasn't anymore. Once you see the sequence, you can move inside it. Adjust pressure points, change dependencies, make someone else's clean exit structurally impossible without your participation. I didn't touch his laptop the next day. Overaccess creates pattern noise. Good audits include quiet days. Instead, I shifted to financial mapping because exits fail when money flow is exposed early. At 9:10 a.m., after he left for work, I pulled 3 years of joint account exports into a spreadsheet and built a pivot by source and destination. Most people never go past balances. Patterns live in movement, not totals. 2 things surfaced fast. First, consulting deposits had changed origin descriptors 4 months ago. Same clients, different routing processor, meaning he'd inserted an intermediary platform. Second, the 40% split going to consult reserve wasn't the only siphon. There was a second behavior, round number vendor payments that refunded 48 to 72 hours later into an external account. Refund cycling. Classic soft diversion technique. Harder to notice than transfers. I tagged them all. Total redirected so far. Enough for 3 months rent somewhere furnished. Exactly like his timeline line item. My phone buzzed. Calendar notification shared. Client strategy offsite. Updated location. He'd edited it. I opened details. Location now populated. North Ridge facility, building C. Specific. Too specific, which usually means it's fake specificity meant to stop questions. I searched it. North Ridge existed. Building C did not. Property map only showed A and B. Fabricated detail. Confidence padding. I screenshotted. At 11:32 a.m., I got an email from our property management company. Subject. Lease renewal follow-up, Marcus Hale. He had emailed them directly, without copying me, asking about early termination penalties. Timestamp. Yesterday afternoon, while I thought he was on a vendor call. I downloaded the thread. His wording. Exploring possible relocation for work. Need discrete numbers. Discrete. I logged it. New category added. Narrative, job-driven relocation cover. At lunch, Lydia made a mistake. Not operational, human. She viewed my LinkedIn profile. Transition specialists forget audit trails exist outside their own systems. I checked her activity. She'd also viewed Marcus and our company page, triangulating reputational risk before advising him. Which meant she was treating the exit like a project, and I was now a stakeholder, just not an informed one. I sent her a connection request with a neutral note. Saw your change management post. Useful framework. Thanks. No accusation. No context. Just visibility. People behave differently when they know they're seen. She accepted in 6 minutes.
Fast.
Curious. At 4:18 p.m., Marcus texted. Marcus. Lease people might call. I'm comparing renewal options. Pre-explanation, triggered by their reply to him, meaning he was smoothing the story path ahead of time. I replied. Me? Good, forward me details, I'll model both paths. Model both paths. That phrase forced inclusion, politely. He answered with a thumbs up, low commitment, low risk, but now he couldn't easily exclude me from the lease math without signaling inconsistency. Pressure applied. Invisible. That evening, I escalated evidence class. Not more spying, verification. I called the county records office and requested vehicle title duplicate request logs. public record, small fee, no suspicion trigger. Result came by email an hour later. Duplicate title request submitted online yesterday morning. Week 6 task already executed early. His timeline wasn't just active, it was ahead. Acceleration means either urgency or external push, likely Lydia optimizing schedule. I updated my contingency sheet. Exit timeline compressed, revise counter timing. At 8:27 p.m., while he was on the couch beside me, his phone buzzed with a banner he couldn't hide fast enough. Lydia, if she suspects, move storage sooner. Don't wait for week 3. He swiped it away, but not before I saw. I didn't react. Reaction teaches liars which alerts matter. Instead, I leaned on his shoulder and said, "We should do a storage clean out soon. We have too much junk." His body went still for a fraction of a second. Then he laughed. Great minds. Yes, I thought. But only one of them is ahead. Before bed, I opened my contingency sheet and added the final preparation line before confrontation phase. Secure independent housing options silent, ready. Because when someone is planning to leave you, the most powerful move is making sure they can't control where you land. Because when someone is planning to leave you, the most powerful move is making sure they can't control where you land. The next phase wasn't surveillance. It was positioning. Information without position is just trivia. I took a personal day from work, told Marcus I had a migraine consistent with my historical pattern, and spent the morning building exit independence he didn't know existed. First stop, bank. Not our joint branch, different one across town. Institutions share systems, but human recognition risk drops with distance. I opened an individual account, no paper mail, digital statements only, new email alias already prepared the night before. Seed deposit came from my freelance design income, separate stream, clean source, no marital entanglement. Clean money, moves cleanly in court. Account nickname in my app, Buffer. Not secret, just accurate. Second stop, apartment locator, not a public search, a broker. Brokers know which landlords accept fast occupancy with strong credit and quiet paperwork. I didn't ask for tours. I asked for availability grids and lease flexibility terms. Constraint list I gave her. Month to month or 3 month. Furnished optional. Walkable groceries. No shared mailbox lobby cameras. Package privacy. Lease start within 10 days possible. She didn't blink. Professionals never do. I'll send options by afternoon, she said. Third stop, storage. Not the chain brand Marcus would choose. Smaller independent facility, fewer integrations, fewer searchable logs. I rented a unit under my middle name, legal, traceable, but not keyword obvious. Unit paid in cash. Lock purchased offsite. No cross-receipt trail. I didn't move anything in yet, pre-positioning only. My phone buzzed. Lydia accepted my connection message with a reply. Glad it helped. Transitions exceed when stakeholders stay calm. Stakeholders. Plural. Language slip. I answered. Agreed. Transparency lowers resistance. Read receipt on. No reply. Message delivered. Concept planted. She now knew I value transparency, which increases her cognitive friction when coaching deception. At noon, property management called, this time to me. Marcus asked about early termination, the agent said. Do you both want the quote? Yes, I said. Please email both of us. Inclusion enforced again. He tried to keep that channel single-threaded. Thread now shared. At 1:42 p.m., the quote arrived. Penalty equal to 2 months' rent, exactly matching the reserve he'd been siphoning. Financial symmetry confirmed. I added a new sheet tab. Exit funding alignment verified. At 3:05 p.m., broker options arrived. 5 units. 2 viable, 1 perfect, short-term furnished near my office, available in 8 days. I didn't apply. Control means optionality, not commitment. I flagged it. Option A, ready. At 4:11, Marcus texted. Marcus, lease penalty higher than expected, might renew after all.
Probe.
He was testing whether I'd resist renewal, measuring obstacle level. I replied, me. Send numbers, I'll model. Math decides, slightly smiling face. Math, not emotion. Removes leverage hooks. He sent the PDF. I ran the numbers, then edited one variable, assumed solo occupancy instead of joint. Penalty now inefficient compared to simple non-renewal. I replied with both models attached. Interesting, solo path cheaper, I wrote. 5 minutes passed.
Pen.
Marcus. Let's discuss tonight. Which meant I'd moved the decision frame.
Good.
At 6:30 p.m., he came home carrying takeout, peace-offering behavior, common before difficult conversations. Thought we'd talk lease and future stuff, he said. Future stuff. He sat across from me, not beside, negotiations seating again, same pattern I'd seen in other cases, other stories, other audits. I've been thinking about a possible relocation, he began. I nodded. Invited narrative. Never interrupt the first confession draft. Work structure is changing, he continued. More remote. More travel. Cover story version 1 job-driven. Makes sense, I said. He blinked, expected friction, got none. Recalculating. There's also timing things, he added carefully. Transitions are messy, I said softly. He studied my face, searching for awareness leakage. Found none, because awareness without display is invisible armor. I don't want this to be emotional, he said. There was exit framing line. Good, I replied. Then let's keep it factual. That line shifted power more than any accusation could have. His shoulders dropped a centimeter, subconscious recognition of terrain change. I may need to live separately for a while, he said. Not I want. Need. Operational necessity language, coached. For work, he added. Of course. I opened my laptop and rotated it toward him. Lease model spreadsheet visible. Solo versus joint paths. Then the solo lease math is better, I said calmly. He stared at the numbers, then at me, confusion mixing with caution. You already modeled that, he asked. Yes, I smiled. Contingencies are part of life build. I watched the realization land. He thought he was introducing the exit. He was walking into my prepared version of it. And that changes who controls the ending. And that changes who controls the ending. Control doesn't come from catching someone leaving. It comes from removing their ability to script how you react. Marcus looked at the spreadsheet, then back at me, not guilty, not defensive, unsettled. His preparation assumed emotional resistance, maybe bargaining, maybe tears. Instead, he got scenario modeling and cost comparisons. His coaching hadn't prepared him for cooperative logic. You're taking this well, he said carefully. I'm taking it structurally, I replied. Different thing. He almost smiled, like he respected the phrasing, which told me again why he'd chosen a transition specialist instead of a therapist. Separate housing might be temporary, he added. Define temporary, I asked. 3 to 6 months. Matches furnished rental line item. Matches reserve fund size. Matches his document. Location decided? I asked. Not yet.
Lie.
But a low-value one. I already had the cabin pattern and the storage plan. No need to challenge here. Constraint list. I continued. He blinked. What? Commute, cost, lease length. You must have constraints.
Flexible, he said.
Which meant pre-decided. I nodded and typed a line into the sheet. Marcus, temp housing, budget band, reserve funded. He watched me write it, absorbing the fact that his hidden funding bucket had a name in my model now, even if he didn't know I knew the exact account. I want this calm, he said. So do I answered. Calm needs clarity and paperwork. Paperwork is the word that makes secret planners nervous, because paperwork creates timestamps. I'll handle logistics, he offered quickly. No, I said gently. We split logistics. Reduces mistakes. There was the real reason framed as efficiency. He hesitated, then nodded. Okay. Agreement captured. After dinner, he went upstairs to finish emails. I opened the county recorder portal again, property rentals, short-term permits, cabin leases, searched owner records for North Ridge area cabins. 3 popped. 1 showed recent short-term occupancy permit, issued to an LLC. Owner contact email, Northlight-Consulting, CO. Lydia's firm, not just advisor. Infrastructure provider. I added to evidence. Exit housing, advisor-linked asset. At 9:22 p.m., my broker emailed again. Option is still available, holding window 48 hours if application started. I replied, prepare paperwork. Do not submit yet. Prepared, not triggered, same strategy as him. Better execution. My phone buzzed, Lydia. Direct message this time. First contact. Marcus mentioned you're both reviewing lease scenarios. If you want a neutral checklist, I can share one. There was stakeholder outreach, influence attempt soft entry. I replied, please send. I compare frameworks. Never refuse information from your opponent. She sent a PDF, low conflict domestic transition checklist. I read it once, then again, slowly. It was his document, expanded, sanitized, professionalized. Bullet points included: narrative alignment before disclosure, asset quieting period, emotional volatility buffers, alternate support partner on standby, alternate support partner, not therapist, replacement partner, professional language for emotional substitution. I saved it. At 10:11, Marcus came to bed and lay on his back, ceiling stare, processing posture. I didn't expect you to be this prepared, he said. I didn't expect you to be this scheduled. I replied softly. He turned his head. What does that mean? It means you're not improvising, I said. You're executing. He held my gaze, searching, danger sense rising. But without proof, suspicion can't anchor. I like plans, he said. I know, I smiled. That's why we worked. Past tense. He noticed. Didn't challenge. Sleep came, or something like it. At 6:03 a.m., his alarm buzzed. Earlier than usual, he silenced it fast, stealth behavior, and checked his phone before getting out of bed. Screen glow reflected in his glasses. Contact name visible in the mirror angle. Lydia. Message preview. Cabin confirmed. Key pickup moved sooner. Timeline compression again. I didn't move. Didn't breathe differently. Because once you see the real schedule, you stop reacting to the fake one. After he left for the shower, I opened my contingency sheet and changed the status line at the top. Counterplan phase, active. Not because he was leaving, but because now, I would decide how.
I would decide how.
Not whether he left, that train was already moving, but whether he left clean, expensive, exposed, or cooperative. Most people pick confrontation too early. Early confrontation destroys leverage and upgrades the other side's caution level. I wanted him operating at confidence level 7, not defensive level 10. So the next step wasn't emotional. It was legal architecture. At 8:40 a.m., after he left, I called a family law attorney, not the one friends recommend for courtroom drama, the one accountants recommend for asset tracing. Different breed. Quieter. Deadlier on paper. I don't need to file, I said on intake. I need positioning. She didn't laugh, good sign. Married assets? She asked. Yes. Hidden accounts? Yes. Planned separation without disclosure? Yes. Bring documents, she said. Not feelings. Correct answer. Appointment. Same afternoon. Cancellation slot. Another advantage of calling specialists, not celebrities. Before leaving, I printed 3 packets. Financial diversion proof. Exit timeline evidence. Advisor involvement links. Not originals, never originals. Copies with hash timestamps embedded. Chain of custody thinking works outside criminal court too. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Marcus. Might sign short lease for project housing, still modeling, okay? Permission-seeking tone. Coached. Designed to look respectful while advancing pre-decided action. I replied. Me. Send lease before signing. I'll risk check clauses. Risk check. My professional habit. Impossible for him to object without breaking character. He answered with a thumbs up. He would not send it, which itself is evidence. At the attorney's office, I laid the packets down without narration. Let the document speak first, reduces bias. She read silently for 11 minutes. Then she said, he thinks he's early. Meaning?
I asked.
Meaning he started hiding money after decision, not before. That's traceable and reversible.
Good.
He also involved a consultant, she added. That creates discoverable third-party records.
Better.
What should I not do?
I asked.
Do not accuse, she said instantly. Do not threaten. Do not mention lawyers. Make him commit in writing to housing and timeline cooperation language. We convert that later. Convert cooperation into obligation. Elegant. She wrote me a 2-line script. I want this fair and documented. Send plans in writing so we both feel safe. Weaponized reasonableness. Retainer signed. Clock started. At 3:12 p.m., Lydia posted something new. Not about Marcus, about ethical transitions. Quote graphic. Transparency is kindness. Delay is cruelty. I almost admired the irony. I commented publicly. Agreed. Undisclosed transitions create collateral damage. Not an accusation. A mirror. She saw it, read receipt, no reply. But the post's comment section locked 10 minutes later. Pressure acknowledged. At 5:28 p.m., Marcus emailed, not texted, emailed, which means he wanted a record trail. Subject: temporary housing draft. Attachment: cabin lease, North Ridge, LLC owner. Yes, Lydia linked. Start date 2 weeks earlier than he told me verbally. Acceleration confirmed again. I replied using my attorney's script. I want this fair and documented. Send full housing and financial transition plan in writing so we both feel safe. No blame. No suspicion. Just safety language. He answered 22 minutes later. That's reasonable. I'll outline everything tonight. And just like that, his secret plan became a written statement request, which turns intent into evidence. At 8:07 p.m., he sat at the kitchen table typing longer than usual, building the summary he thought would protect him. He didn't know it would bind him. My phone buzzed, broker. Option A expires tomorrow. Hold or release. I typed back. Hold. Because leverage is strongest when you have somewhere to go. And the other side doesn't know you already chose it. Before bed, Marcus said quietly, I'm glad you're being mature about this. I smiled. I'm being documented, I said softly. He thought it was reassurance. It was a warning, just not one he understood yet. He thought it was reassurance. It was documentation in progress. At 10:14 p.m., his email arrived. Subject: transition plan, draft for us. Not for him. Not for me. For us. Cooperative framing. Exactly what his consultant would recommend to reduce resistance and future claims of emotional harm. I opened it slowly and read once without reacting, then again like an auditor. Structured.
Polished.
Sanitized. He outlined. Temporary cabin housing for work concentration, phased financial separation, continued contribution to joint obligations, emotional honesty conversation, scheduled after relocation, commitment to respectful uncoupling. Not one mention of Lydia. Not one mention of replacement partner. Not one mention of concealed funds. But critically, he confirmed dates, locations, and voluntary financial actions. Intent, time-stamped, self-authored. I saved the email as PDF, exported headers, and dropped both into the vault folder my attorney shared. Evidence class upgraded from inferred, admitted logistics. I replied with one line. Received. Thank you for putting this in writing. Reviewing tomorrow. Gratitude locks statements in place. People rarely retract what they feel thanked for. The next morning, I executed the final positioning move. I signed option A. Furnished unit. 8-day start. Utilities included. Digital lease. No mail yet. No noise. My landing zone existed before his takeoff. At noon, Marcus texted. Marcus, can we do the conversation Sunday instead of later? Acceleration again. Pressure from his side. Probably cabin availability or consultant scheduling. I answered. Me? Yes, conference room at my office. Private, documented, calm. 3 keywords he couldn't reject without breaking his own low-conflict narrative. Private. Documented.
Calm.
He agreed in under a minute. Sunday, 11 a.m. My attorney reserved the room under a contract review pretext. Witness without intimidation. Admissible without theatrics. Sunday came quiet. Marcus arrived with a folder, printed, color tabs, Lydia's formatting style obvious, even at a distance. He smiled like a man doing something difficult but noble. I arrived with a thinner folder, mine, heavier in consequence. We sat. He began his speech, practiced compassionate tone, responsibility language, future focus, everything but truth. I let him finish. Never interrupt a rehearsed confession. It reduces usable admissions. When he stopped, I slid one page across. Bank diversion summary. Then the lease inquiry email. Then the consultant collaboration record. Then the cabin ownership link. No accusations, just labeled exhibits.
He read.
Color drained, not dramatically, just steadily, like ink diluted with water. You went deep, he said quietly. I went accurate, I replied. Silence stretched. Then I asked the only question that matters at the end of an audit. Do you want cooperative resolution or forensic resolution? Not anger, not betrayal. Options. He looked at the documents again, recognized the completeness, understood the cost curve. Cooperative, he said. Decision captured. Terms followed, attorney-guided, asset freeze agreement, corrected disclosure, financial equalization, written acknowledgement of third-party involvement, accelerated settlement schedule. No courtroom. No screaming. Maximum clarity. When it was done, he asked one last question. Were you really going to try for a baby? He said softly. I held his gaze. I was planning a future, I answered. You were planning an exit, not accusation. Classification. Weeks later, alone in my new apartment, I finally opened the pharmacy bag. The test was still valid. I threw it away, not from bitterness, from accuracy. You don't test for a future after you've audited the truth.